So today I have one of my lovely clients, Shelley, here with us. And I'm really excited for this conversation because Shelley is amazing. But I feel like I obviously teach and share and educate a lot. However, when you hear someone else's experience, often it can resonate and, from our listeners tuning in a different way. And so I love sharing people's stories because it just helps people learn, but also often it's relatable. I know that as we chat today, Shelley, that other people listening in will either find themselves completely relating to your experience, or they'll be inspired to make changes based on what you share with us today. So thank you for joining us. I'm so excited.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So I'm going to start. I know some of the answers to these questions, but I'm going to start so our audience gets to know you a bit better. Maybe actually you can do that. Introduce yourself. Let us know a bit about yourself before we kind of launch into our story together.
I'd be happy to. So, my name is Shelley, and I live in Washington State in the United States. And I'm a school teacher. I teach special ed. I have two children who are in their mid to early 20s. And I'm married, and I'm in a very happy place in my life. Life is good. And I would say, all through my life, weight management has never been an issue. I had my kids, and I pretty much rebounded pretty quickly from that. And I did some triathlons in my late 30s and early 40s. And so weight was never really an issue for me. And then all of a sudden, things started changing, and I couldn't figure it out.
Enter hormones.
Mhm. Thank you very much.
And this is the thing. This is why this is so important, is that if you are a woman listening, maybe you're just turning 40, or maybe you're coming up to 40, or maybe you're already, maybe you're 50 or even 60. Menopause, if you are lucky enough to live till the age of 50-ish, will happen. It's not like none of us get to get out of it. It's going to happen to you. So when I'm obviously sharing information and education, I talk 40 plus, because that decade between 40 and 50, your hormones start changing. And so none of us get to you know, get out of that situation. It's going to happen, and we need to understand. And I think what's interesting, Shelley, is you know, our generation had no idea, and we weren't prepared for it, and we didn't know. And so then we find ourselves having this extra weight gain, finding ourselves not feeling our best, not optimized, or waking up with energy, or even feeling motivated. And we don't know why. And I think this is why it's so important. Our generation, unfortunately, have already found ourselves here. So we've got to quickly learn. So, how did you find me?
Okay, so this is fun. So I would say the last few years, I've been just noticing, I'd say probably since around, no, 2018, 2019, I started noting changes like, oh, what are these? Oh, I've heard of hot flashes. Oh, they're this thing. And like, okay, I'm having them. And then it started affecting, which, okay, I can toughen up. I can suck it up. I can be tough. I can deal with it. But then it started affecting my sleep. And then I was like, okay, now this is a whole nother game, because sleep is foundational for everything. And so I actually had somebody that I worked with a little bit who was more on the naturopathic side. And I started using some more naturopathic types of avenues. And then at one point it just wasn't doing enough. So then this person that I worked with said, "Hey, have you ever heard of bioidentical hormones?" And so that was great. And so that really did. I was lucky because I happened to have a doctor who was open to that, and that was amazing for me. But then the weight gain and some of the weight stuff was still there. And that was the part that really bothered me. And I'd always been pretty trim and fit, muscular, felt good, but it just things had really changed, and I just couldn't. I Yeah, it was just bothering me. And then honestly, this last summer, about 1 year ago, my husband and I had our 35th wedding anniversary, and we went to Europe, and I'm looking at all the pictures of us, and I'm going, "Oh my gosh, I am not okay with this. This bothers me." And I felt like, do I just want to surrender to it and say, "Well, this is just where I'm at in life and I'm okay with it"? But I really wasn't. But I didn't know what to do, honestly. And I felt like I don't have the tools. I don't know what to do. And so that fall, I went back to school, and probably maybe October-ish, one of the teachers I work with happened to come in my room and was talking with some of my other coworkers, and started talking about this program. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I need to do something different." And she was so enthusiastic about it. And I feel like it was like a gift from heaven that I had this opportunity. And I'm like, "Oh, tell me more about it. Tell me more about it." And I'm like, "I got to sign up right now. Give me the website. I got to know." And she goes, "Well, it doesn't start until, February." And this was like probably October, November. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't think I can wait that long. I got to do something now." And it was kind of funny. I'm like, okay. And so, anyways, I was like, okay, we're in the holiday season. It's really a bad time to be starting anything, right? And so I'm like, I'm okay with it. And then, no doubt, I think it was December 26th or 27th, I'd gone up to this mountain with skiing, and I was in my cabin, and I happened just to be scrolling because I think I'd gotten on your Facebook page. I can't remember where it came from. And it's like, "Oh, you could do one-on-ones." And I'm like, "Seriously? I could start right away? I don't have to wait till February." I was so motivated. I just knew it was like, the time is now. I don't want to wait any longer. I can't take it. And so I reached out to you, and then it worked out that we could start. I think it was January 6th. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I have to do this. I got to do it now." And so it was so amazing because we had our first appointment, and I did the one-on-one. And I was like, "I have to do this now." But I knew for me, just because of my personality and who I am, the one-on-one personalized instruction, I really needed that. But also, I knew that I needed the group. And so I signed up for the group option also. And because I knew I needed to hit it from all ends, because I was like, I was over it. I was over the way I looked. I was over the weight gain. I couldn't control it. And I just needed like to come from all aspects of it. And then I felt especially blessed because I had some teachers that I worked with in my building who were going through the program, who had gone through the program. And so it'd be fun because we would have our one-on-one, and then come February, the group part came into play, and we would hear those conversations. But then I could run down the hall the next morning and go, "Okay, Vicky, tell me what's the deal with this. I got to ask you, where'd you find this or where'd you find that?" Because there's a little bit of, from Australia to the United States, different products and different things. So I kind of had to work through some of those pieces, but I just felt so blessed that I really needed to attack it from so many different angles for me to be successful. And maybe not everybody's that way, but for me, I knew that's what I needed, and it's an investment in my future, in my health, in my life, in the way I feel about each other and about myself. And what was I think what was cool was that my husband totally got on board with it.
Yes.
And he's like, "We're about the same age, and there's changes for the men too at this time in
Yes.
life. Things are changing for them, and it's like, who do we want to be? And we're looking at our parents,
Yes.
who are 25 years older than us, and we're seeing their lives and their outcomes, and that generation didn't have the knowledge and
No.
that we have, and it's like, what do we don't want to be in that place. We want to be in a different place. And
Yes.
so I'm grateful for that we're a team, and I feel like I have a team at school, I have a team online, I have a team in my home with my husband, that I've felt like all those things. I feel super blessed in that area, in that
That's
way.
so good. And that's actually you fall into an interesting category because we can talk about both of the different options where often, I have people one on one or I have people in the program. And so for those of you listening in who may not be aware, obviously as a nutritionist and health coach, I coach people one on one, which is Shelley was like, right, I want to start straight away, and she was motivated. She didn't want to wait till February. And so often that's the case. Like people want to get started straight away, or not everyone wants to be in a social environment. Like, so it comes down to personality sometimes as well. Some people really enjoy the group environment. And so this is good because you are going to be able to give us, like, I suppose, the takeaways of what you found in the one-on-one and what you found in the group program. So the group program, it actually goes for 12 weeks. It's split into two 6-week phases. And of course, there's like daily accountability in there. There's like chats and people being able to interact. There's weekly calls. So you're there with other people on the journey. So it's a different environment of learning and being on track. So maybe like start with like, how did you find the one-on-one coaching?
Well, I think it was somehow, I think because I had signed up and just for the group thing, because I didn't know there was a one-on-one, and I think I did that maybe back in December or something, and it's because I was maybe on your Facebook page. I honestly, I don't even know,
How
but
did
when
you
I
how did you find the experience? Sorry, I should have explained myself. So
the
yeah, yeah.
experience. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so I found it fantastic. So I love, because at that time I've been a vegetarian for probably 5 years. I've not touched meat, maybe a little fish I've dabbled in. And so I was worried. And when I talked to my coworker, Vicky, I said, so like, I'm a vegetarian. How is that going to fit in? Because I had my reasons, pretty strong convictions why I was a vegetarian. And she goes, oh, they're adding vegetarian options. And I'm like, okay, I'm interested in it. But there were some, my personally, I had my own things that I was struggling with it, with
Mhm.
being a vegetarian, and just some, like, almost even like more like social reasons, like you go to a certain place and you're with your 80-year-old uncle and he's made this meal for you, and I was actually personally having issues anytime I ate meat,
Mhm.
and I was getting very ill from it. And so I learned a lot about the enzymes through you, and how that it changes, and how my body wasn't using them, and so I felt like I wanted to. It's not that was totally giving up my vegetarian lifestyle, but I wanted to be able to at least introduce some meat to my body again, so I wouldn't be ill. And so I really appreciated what you had to share about that, and learn from that, so I could integrate meat back into my system again, because I did feel like it was important. And so I think, okay, that's one aspect of it that was huge for me,
Mhm.
personally. And then the other thing was that we had our one-on-one initially, and then we came back a week later, and then you set up exactly what I could eat, how much protein I could eat, how much calories I could eat, what was the deficit based on my lifestyle, my weight, my age, and all those things. And now I had a clear plan of what I could do. and not do, and how much water I should be drinking. I mean, all of that, it was huge. Like, okay, and for my personality, I'm a rule follower. It's like, just tell me what to do and I will do it. I promise you I will do it. I just need to know. And if I don't have the knowledge, I can't do it. And so because of you having that one-on-one with me and I knew exactly what to do, I could follow it. And with it, and also being able to ask you questions and being able to say, you know what, it's going to take a few weeks. Don't, you can't expect changes right away. And that helped me to know, like, just be patient. You got it. Your body's going through a change and it doesn't know what to do. And I just think those conversations that you and I could have really encouraged me to stay the course and know that it's going to work. And so, um,
You
I,
did, however, get results quite quickly. I always, and I'll say this for everyone, when we're changing our nutrition and anything actually, not just your nutrition, even if you're starting a new exercise program or anything, generally the first 2 weeks, you're not going to necessarily see results. And so I tell people that. And so if you're listening into this and you're excited, you're like, right, I'm going to do the next Thrive program. Like, this sounds perfect for me. I need help too. Or you want to do one-on-one coaching. Generally, you'll hear me say, the first 2 weeks, don't expect for, however, Shelley is one of the ones who did get results straight away. The next time I spoke to her, she'd already got results happening. So that was probably pretty helpful for your journey too.
maybe it was because I was so horrible before the change. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I just felt so encouraged. But yet, that wasn't my expectation. And I think at one point, I can't remember if it was on our 101 or the group setting that, you know, in the first, it'll take a month to see, you personally will see the changes, but it'll take 2 months for other people maybe to see the changes. And I thought that was a really good barometer. Like, I'm going to do this for a good month and I don't care if I don't lose a half a pound. I am going to stick with it because everything else I've done isn't working.
Yes.
So I've got to give this a really, really good try of it. And it's not like, I mean, I had my moments where then I was stagnant, but I'm like, nope, nope, I'm not giving up. I'm just going to do it because I've seen results and I know that can be normal, that you
Yes.
become stagnant and there's no changes, but I am not giving up. And you know what? I'd have maybe a couple of weeks where I didn't see any changes on the scale. And I love how you talk a lot about our generation. It's all about the scale. It's all about the numbers on the scale. And there's so much more to it than that. It's, you can't use that as your only barometer. You have to use other aspects of measuring yourself, and maybe it's the weightlifting and, oh wow, I'm so much stronger because I can
Yes.
lift more weights.
Yes.
And
Yes.
uh, there's so many more aspects to it. You're not just
Right.
using the scale and that one number to feel success, which I think is important.
For sure. Actually, maybe this would be a good reminder for people listening in to actually talk about what your goals were. So coming in, your goals, you had body composition goals. What were you looking to achieve?
Okay, so it's funny because I had this picture, a photograph of myself when I was probably in my early 40s where I was doing triathlons and I looked great. And I was like, oh, I just want to look like that again. But I know that's not reasonable to be. I mean, I'm 58, so um, I thought, okay, oh, if I could just lose 5 pounds. And that was my personal thing because I didn't want to feel like a failure. And that's my own personal issue, maybe. I didn't want
Mhm.
to feel like that. So I thought, oh, if I could just lose 5 pounds and get a little stronger, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But then as time went on, I was like, well, I was having success, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can actually do way better. And then I think some of the things that really hit me were the importance, and that you really dialed in on, and then a kind of our family experience going on with my in-laws made me realize how important the muscles were in gaining muscles, and how that equals longevity, and everything about um, just your bones and the strength of them, and how that in and I don't want to be in a nursing home either. And my in-laws are going through that. They've had broken hips, and granted they're in their mid 80s,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
it's like I can see, like, wow, if they had stronger muscles, and they were continuing to lift and be more flexible, and there's no reason you can't be that way. There literally is no reason. If you started at a certain age and you continue it, you should be able to maintain that. And it's like I don't want to be in that situation. So
Yes, yes,
uh I think my goals changed, and they evolved
yes,
as I got more knowledge, and
yes,
knowledge is power, right?
yes,
And so
yes. And that's why I wanted to ask you, because this is something, and I know people will be listening going, well, I want to lose 5 pounds, or I want to actually, how much have you lost, like, since we've been working together?
18 pounds.
18 pounds. Wanted to lose five, has lost 18. So smashed her goals. And but generally I wanted to touch on this because people come for the body composition change. They want to get rid of the belly fat. They want to get their body back, like the body they had when they were 40, or like whatever, or just get rid of the belly fat or whatever. But what they, like you said, generally when I ask this question, I have better energy. My mood and focus is better. I'm sleeping better. I now want to keep myself out of the nursing home. My goals have changed. So this
Mhm.
is really like important to touch on. Yes, you'll get your body composition goals, but you'll actually learn so much more, because this, yes, is about feeling your best, like, and that looks different for everyone. But really what we want to do, like you just said, Shelley, is live a long life with awesome quality, which means not being in the nursing home, which means being self sufficient and strong and able, and all of these things. As women, we live till we're in our 80s with terrible quality of life, and that's what we're trying to change as well.
Exactly. And I feel like initially maybe I went in it for what I'd call superficial or vain reasons, because I want to look like I did when I was in my 40s. And I was looking at my pictures, and I hated the way I looked. And honestly, it was for vain reasons. But then as time went on, it was like, this isn't about that. It's about being strong. It's about the quality of my bones, and it's about my brain and what's going to happen there. And thankfully I haven't had a lot of memory and those kinds of issues at this point. But I feel like sleep is huge. Quality of sleep is huge, and just being able to um be able to um be strong, and do what I need to do, and everything. So
Amazing. And so I guess we talked a little bit about the one on one. What did you like now, if we look at the group program, because you're in a bit of a unique situation? I mean, I have different people that have done this, but I haven't had a chance to actually talk across it. So, what did you love most about the group environment?
it was really fun to listen to what other people were struggling with, because it's like, oh yeah, I'm kind of struggling with that too. And just having the conversations and the different dynamics of those kinds of things. And then also, um, I think maybe things that I weren't struggling with at this point, but could potentially see it down the road. So I feel like that was helpful for me to say, okay, if I cross that bridge, then I am able to know how to counteract that, I think. So it
Yes.
was just, it was great to hear all those conversations. And then what I also loved is that you have these guest speakers that come in, and then to
Yes.
hear everybody be able to have a really wealthy dialogue in regard to that.
Yes, yeah, we do. So we've had six guest speakers. We have one more to go in the current program. And this is just like this is a new feature actually, but for that purpose, because like Shelley touched on before, I truly believe education is power. So the more we know and understand, then we are much able to make better decisions for ourselves. So these guest speakers are more in-depth conversations on certain topics so we can really dive into topics, and then everyone gets a chance to ask questions, which I think is really important because, if you're thinking something, then often someone else is as well. So it just allows the conversation to get deeper than, maybe the surface, and we really get to learn a lot more, which is really cool. So if firstly, what are your goals now going forward?
Okay. I would say I'm pretty really close to, like, as far as if I were to use the numbers on the scale, which I really, that's not that important.
No.
I feel pretty good about where I'm at. If I were to lose a couple pounds, no big deal. But I I think that that's good, but I want to maintain, but I really want to work on the building the muscle, because I have really learned how important that is, and for longevity. And it's just, it's huge. And the other thing is, working on, I just was chatting with Vicky at work today about where she got her body scan for her DEX scan, and
Yes.
learning how important that is. And so she was sharing with me where she got it. And so my the month of May, my goal is to have that done, because I want to see
Amazing.
where my bone density is,
Yes.
and the muscle is, and then to grow from there, and have, you know a plan of action of what I need to do, because I don't know where I sit. I have no idea. And that's the thing is, and it kind of goes back to what you would talk about with keeping track of what you've eaten, and how many calories you've had, how much protein you've had, how much fiber you've had. You have to track it, because if you don't track it, then you don't know.
That's
And you
right.
might think you had a great day, but maybe you didn't have a great day.
Right.
Or maybe you thought you had a great day, and actually you did have a great day, and then yay, celebrate. But you
Yeah.
don't know unless you track. And I feel like for the whole bone density and the muscles, that all the information you get, literally have no idea. And I don't want to be the person who has the broken hip and goes, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I didn't know. I thought I was doing everything I needed to do. And
Yeah.
so I want that information so I can move forward.
Yes.
And so that's my goal for May. And then just to keep
Amazing.
working on the weightlifting.
I love it. I love it. It's so good. So if someone's listening in today and they are feeling like you did before you started this process, like they're not happy with their body composition. And I thought it was interesting how you touched on, you said it was probably a bit of vanity. However, I just want to expand on that quickly because I think wanting to look better is not necessarily vanity, it's actually self care. And so,
Mm,
because if you look at yourself and do not feel the confidence or you feel any type of way, then it's just self care getting that back in check. That's
mm,
all it is. And as we know, generally our metabolic health changes when we make those changes. So they're kind of intertwined. Like when we
uh-huh,
let our health go and we know our body composition isn't a reflection of what we think it should be, we're generally feeling that way because we know actually our whole health is not ticking the boxes. So I think, really it's a form of self-care. And even, now you can say, because you are ticking all the boxes, that your self-care is at the top priority, right? And that's why you've got the reason Shelley's had great results is because she has completely prioritized all I do, I get to do the easy part, right? All I do is educate and teach and tell you the best practices that I know work. I'm constantly learning and getting the latest research and sharing that, right? And of course, those of you who follow me on social media, you see I live this, so it's easy for me to educate and teach because it's how I live, right? So but you then it's up to some people, they come in and I teach and then they don't put it into practice. You took all of the education and you completely prioritized it and you put it into practice. You did the hard work. I just I just do the easy work. so,
But you know
so
what? I don't think it is easy because sometimes I would love what you would say about certain things like, okay, like let's say about talking about drinking wine, because I would talk about that a little bit socially and you would say, you know what? I just don't really have a lot of good news about that, and I loved how you were honest and that's what I needed was to hear the truth.
mm,
And I loved how you would say, I'm not going to be here to beat you over the head. I'm here to give you knowledge and you got to decide what you want for your life and what you want. And that's, and I appreciated that because you're not going to be calling me up and saying, hey, how did you do last night? I mean, you just said you got to own it. And that's the way it should be. People got to own it to be successful. And
and
so,
the reason I teach that way, Shelley, and you obviously have been immersed in this and have got results, is because if you don't, like, I could give you guys all individual meal plans, but you wouldn't actually learn how to manage your food. Like,
mhm,
so then you're not actually learning how to live in the real world. You're just like in a bubble for 6 or 12 weeks while I give you the food. Like, if you get a meal plan that you can then like vary, you're learning how to make the decisions. So it's
mhm.
like I heard someone yesterday talking about doing Jenny Craig, for example. Now,
Oh,
obviously, people get results on Jenny Craig because they get the food given to them, they get the, calories that apparently they drop the calories along the way and all this sort of stuff, but you're not learning how
mhm,
to then go into the real world and manage your food. So nutrition is the absolute basis of our health and wellness. And if you don't learn how to manage that calorie budget, that everyone has a different one, then you never build the skills to do it. So you have lost 18 pounds. Now you know how to manage your food. You know how to manage your calorie budget. You know what Shelley eats in a day. And you won't find yourself having to lose 18 pounds ever again because you know what you need to eat, how you need to do it, and you just will do this for the rest of your life. And that is what real success is, because that's what gives you freedom.
I love it. I love it. And that's what, other people I've talked to, they've tried this, they've tried that, they tried this, they've tried that. And it's always a temporary fix. And honestly, Vicki and I were having that conversation today after work, and we were talking about it, and we are like, "This is sustainable. This is something I can do." And we all thought it was like cut, 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 cut food, and I'm going to be hungry forever. And that's not it because if you're eating the right foods, you're not going to be hungry. I mean,
It's
well, that's not true. I mean, you might have moments,
a
but
little bit.
that was, yeah, a little bit. And if,
A little bit.
but kind of, we talked a little bit about the whole um, fasting, which
Yes.
also helped me, which was super informational about learning how to be flexible. Your metabolism and all needs to learn to be flexible. And it's like, oh, I get to control when I eat. I get to control this. It's not you.
Yes.
And so that's a whole nother conversation, I'm sure. But I felt like that was very helpful to me. And like I've kind of retrained my body a little bit about, yeah, I don't have to have breakfast every morning at 6:30. And you just need to learn to wait and be patient.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Exactly. Oh,
It
it's so
was,
exciting. It's
yeah.
so exciting to see just in the short time, how far you've come and so how much you've learned. I want to mention too that Shelley's husband got on board and
Mhm.
he has had amazing results as she has changed. So it's not just her, they both are now like new versions of themselves, which is so exciting. And that must be so rewarding for you guys as a couple.
It's awesome. My husband's a pilot, and so he just had to go for his medical today this morning. And when I came home from work, I was like, "So how'd it go? What'd they say?" And he's like, "I am a picture of health." And he's like, I was like 20 pounds I've lost since, and this is since January. And he's like, I couldn't believe it. I got on the scale and it was like 20 pounds since last time I was there. And he says, everything was great. My blood pressure, everything was amazing. I'm a picture of health, according to them, you know.
How does he
So
feel? How does he feel about that?
he's so excited. He just feels great about it. And so, yeah, I feel blessed that we were on the same page, that we really came to a time in our life like, oh my goodness, we need to make a change. We got to do it together because it's harder if you're not doing it together. It's not that it's impossible, but
Mm,
if your spouse or your significant other isn't on board, I would say it's so powerful to be in a group setting, like with your group, or if you
mm.
have a friend who could do it with you. It's very powerful because then you have that accountability and you can talk to somebody about it, which I felt like really helped me. And I think, yes, I could have been really successful if I had the one on one, but just between having the group situation and having somebody at work, and I had a spouse, I felt like that set me up for success, and just all
That's
the knowledge.
That's really great advice. So, if you're listening in and you're thinking, right, I'm going to get on the wait list for the next Thrive program, starts at the beginning of June, by the way. I will make sure you have the link for it so you can jump on the wait list. But maybe have a chat to your partner, and it doesn't mean that they have to do it, but they know what your goals are. So then they are a sounding board as you journey through, because, like Shelley said, that was really helpful having the support process around. And I think that's really good advice as well. So amazing. Well, I just want to thank you for joining us today. If anyone's listening and feeling in the same way you were before, what would you say to them?
I would say you have got to do it. You are worth it. You got to go for it. You are worth it. And I feel like it's not just about you. It's about the message you're sending to your family, and it's generational, because I feel like my kids have seen me change, because they hadn't seen me for like 3 months, because they were live away from me, and then they saw me and they were just like, oh my goodness, mom, you look amazing.
Oh,
And I feel like, yeah, and it's like it's generational. My daughter, who's 25, is calling and saying, "Mom, what recipe? What are some good recipes?" And asking about protein. And I feel like it's a generational thing. So it's not just about me, but it's making a change for my kids and educating them. And so it's so worth it. And it's so successful. If you just follow the plan, you will have success.
it's so exciting. Actually, before I let you go, did you enjoy the food? Because I suppose people listening in who may not understand, my methodology is to teach you food should taste amazing. Did you enjoy the food? Was it easy to prepare?
Absolutely. Yes. Totally. Everything was wonderful. And there's so many options. I mean, your recipe, menu, I mean, there's so many different things. And I love how you have these videos and you show how to make stuff. And then it's like you put out the menu and it's like, oh, I mean, because maybe there's shrimp options for dinner. And it's like, oh, I'm not into shrimp, but oh, you could swap it out and you can see where you're at. And everything, I don't think there was anything that I didn't enjoy. And so I think definitely that, I mean, I don't know how many recipes there are on there, but you can swap things out. And it's like, oh, maybe you like something, but your family's not a fan of a type of meat or whatever. So you can go in and swap it out. So your family will love it too. I mean, everything my kids are older now, but I could say for my kids growing up through this, when they were younger, where maybe their palate wasn't as open to new things, like everything was, I could have fed my kids anything and they would have thought it was great. So, yeah,
Yeah.
lots and lots of options.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing today. I know that this conversation will be so helpful. Others will relate to hearing your story. So I truly appreciate you, and you're just a superstar. You've done so well. Keep it up. Keep getting stronger, girl.
Right, lift those
Thank
weights.
you so much for being here, and I can't keep me posted on the DEXA scan.
I will. I will. I'll let you know when I get the results.
Amazing, amazing.
So, thank you.
That was so good.